Since the start of the Lunduke Hour, we have been broadcasting the show predominantly on the YouTubes, because there's pretty much nothing else to put it up on. There's YouTube. There's just YouTube everywhere you go is YouTube, and there's certain individuals that you might want to interview, and those people are like, I don't want to be on the YouTube because YouTube's not free software, or YouTube's not decentralized, or if I put it up on YouTube, people will think I'm compromising my belief systems about free software or something else. It's very, very complicated and very, very annoying. There are, of course, other options out there, but they all have their strengths and their weaknesses, and it's just kind of hard to decide on something. So what we do currently is we have YouTube plus a podcast. It'd be very nice to add something else into it. As I've been looking into the something else to add into it part of that whole plan, one thing that keeps coming up, and I'm not 100% certain I'm even saying it correctly, is lbry.io, library.io, library.io. We'll ask the guy who's behind it, Jeremy Kauffman, in just a second about all of that, because he's going to tell us about it, and I'm going to grill him and determine then whether or not it's something I can actually use now, in the future, what have you. It's going to be fantastic. Everyone's going to love it. We're going to go home happy after we have some snacks. In fact, let's just bring him in right now. I'm just going to go ahead and bring in Jeremy. Jeremy, say hi to the world.
Hi, world. It's great to be here with all 7 billion of you.
Yes.
Here on Brian's show.
Let's not exaggerate. There are roughly 1 billion people that are not currently watching, but they all live in Mongolia, specifically Outer Mongolia, that part on the map that's a little hazy and just says Outer Mongolia on it. You know, here be dragons, that sort of thing. Jeremy, give everyone at home the quick overview. What's the elevator pitch? What is it, and how do you pronounce it to start with? Let's get that out of the gate. Let's do this right.
First, since you have a podcast, spelling LBRY is always a great idea.
Yeah.
But we do frequently say library because who wants to repeat 4 letters all the time? That's a mouthful.
That is way too many letters. I don't even say words that have more than 3 letters in them. So, okay, so library.
I quit years ago. So, no, but so what's the elevator pitch for what we're doing? Well, it depends on who you are. If I explain library to my mother, I say I'm making a kind of community-controlled YouTube.
All right.
Your audience understands this stuff far better than my mother does, so I'll give your audience the real explanation, which is library is an open source, decentralized protocol that provides content discovery, distribution, and access or purchase. So it's your audience, I'm sure, is actually one way to get your head around what we're doing. Your audience is very familiar with BitTorent.
Yep.
Imagine if you took BitTorent, added a naming layer, added a payment layer, and added some incentives to participate as a good citizen in the network rather than have it work just out of the. It's sometimes I think it's a miracle BitTorent works as well as it does because
it's true.
Right. It's like, wow, I can't believe all these people are so nice. So we said, let's keep the niceness. You know, you can host stuff for free. A lot of educational content is free. A lot of stuff is free on library, but we also offer some good incentives to make the network more robust. Okay.
So now let's come at this from the point of view of, let's start with, I'm consuming videos, right? Let's just start with one spot. So if I'm just wanting to watch videos and I really, really want to watch the Lunduke Hour and trailers for the latest My Little Pony episode of Friendship is Magic, those are the 2 things that are worth watching on YouTube. So if I were to want to watch those via library.io, not even those specifically, but what is the experience like? How does it work? What's the process of finding that content and then watching it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's important to remember, as we'll probably get into some of the depths of this and how library actually works. It can start to feel very complicated. At the surface level, though, what it's like for a user is super simple. Basically, you're able to open up an application, you're able to search the network, you're able to discover a piece of content, a video, a podcast, something else. You're able to stream it or download it, and it just works. And in fact, the experience feels a lot like the experience that you'd have in any number of other comparable applications like YouTube, like Netflix, like these other services. But the miracle of it is there's no centralized server. We don't own all the content. It's not being controlled by us. We've created from end to end discovery, distribution, and purchase all the way, all of the parts. BitTorrent just did decentralized distribution.
Totally decentralized then. I mean, totally. Okay, so, all right. So then let's back up for a second. So I'm creating, hypothetically, a new fan trailer for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and I want to distribute it on library.io. What does that work like? Like, where do those files sit? Who hosts those files? How do those how does that process work?
Yeah. So so also something that makes this even more confusing is we have library the protocol, which is an open source standard.
Okay.
We provide a reference implementation with the full set of APIs. It's MIT licensed. So basically, as well, I don't know if your audience is the Stallman form of open source.
Most of my audience is more just open source is good. I'm probably the more hardcore one.
Okay,
I'm the GPL thumper of the bunch. Yeah. But I like MIT also. Very nice license.
Yeah. I'll throw down here and say that I in my view, MIT is the most open license, but I know that.
I know some BSD folks who would argue with you until they die. Okay. So all open source though, all under a good license. We'll just leave it at that. Open source is good. Okay. So I create a video.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, sorry. It's again in an app. So we provide a browser, and that browser is actually also open source. We are just to be clear, we are a for-profit company. We've created an open source.
Whoa! Now, where's the hang up button? I'm sorry. Profit. Yeah.
If you need to kick me off,
we're good, man.
So you can also do that in the browser that we've released, which is again very familiar UI. Basically, feels like you're clicking upload. Now, where does it actually go?
Yeah,
that's a great question. There's two different things that are based. Well, there's probably more than two. Let's look at it as two things. One is we're making an entry into the library blockchain. And so I don't know how much you've covered blockchain technology on your show. Basically, even if you've never heard the word blockchain before, a blockchain is just a database. Right. That's the easiest way to think about it. I actually will frequently say that a blockchain is the world's crappiest database technology. It has terrible throughput. It takes a while for transactions to be confirmed. It's like really everything is bad about it except for this property of decentralized consensus, and which is effectively what provides the censorship resistance. So you're publishing an entry into the blockchain. That is effectively a database. That's a listing of all the content on the library network. Okay. Those entries can then, that's where the metadata goes. That's where all the rules about content access go, that kind of stuff. That then contains a pointer to the content, which is then, which actually can point to any number of things. It's valid for a library metadata entry to point to a BitTorent hash. It's valid for it to point to a URL. We provide our own publishing format, which is which provides monetized purchase of data and also provides what we think is some better features for it. BitTorrent isn't designed for streaming. We wanted to be able to handle streaming. BitTorrent puts information about the chunks as part of the larger file. This is a series of tiny chunks that are all just standalone chunks. Yeah. Like a linked list of chunks, basically. So you're getting that pointer, and then you're assembling. And then so when someone else goes and accesses that piece of content, they're getting the decryption key and assembling the chunks, and that's happening in real time to let you access it.
Okay, so now, and if several questions, holy moly. Okay, so I put My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, season 27, episode 3, that I created for myself. Up there, I publish it to the library as a platform. It can actually point to a torrent. I can actually point it to a torrent as the source for the content itself.
This is not supported. This is actually not supported currently in the application that we've released, but in terms of the protocol specification,
the protocol itself.
It's valid. It's
good. It's a valid thing. Okay, so now within the application itself, so it's you guys have a desktop application that I can utilize to kind of browse and do all that stuff. So within that one, the file then I assume is hosted by your servers.
So if you're publishing in the library mode, it actually can be hosted by anyone. So when you do that initial publish, you're doing this kind of announcement that's saying other people can host this data. We do, because we are concerned about the health of the network, we do run some nodes ourselves just to make sure everything keeps everything moving smoothly. Sure. But it's not, the nodes that we run are in no way proprietary. Like, it's something that anyone could do.
Okay.
And that data there is a market incentive to host data. That is, library essentially allows monetization of your disk space and your bandwidth that might not be going to use.
Interesting. Okay, so in theory, with library, I could set up, say, a server. I could set up the show.lunduke.com or something like that as a server somewhere. Run library on it. host my episodes up there, and then people would be getting it, essentially fetching it from that particular node of library?
That's basically correct. Its library is not in what we've released currently. It doesn't work over HTTP. That is something.
Gotcha.
That would be the only part that
gotcha. So it would have its own name though. So it would be, you know, yeah, it would have its own unique identifier and node. Okay.
And I will plug here for anyone out there who is a developer or who is interested in learning about this. We have if you go to our website and go to /quickstart. It's an onboarding program just for developers. It teaches you how to use the API and shows you a little bit about library and how it works.
Awesome. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So now let's talk about the monetization side of things, because this is kind of interesting. Sure. So currently I'm up on the YouTube, right? And I'll publish. So I did the thing I usually get the most hits on is this big dog and pony show I do about once a year called Linux Sucks. And I put it up there, and you know, get a couple 100,000 to 1 million views, and it gets to be a big thing. But even then on YouTube, you know, realistically, the amount of total income is not huge, but it's there. I can do some advertising revenue, and it's still good, right? What sort of revenue model currently exists within the library platform, and how do you envision it working? Is it similar at all to what you've got going on over on YouTube, or just totally different thing? What do you got?
Yeah, good question. Kind of similar, kind of different. One, I mean, library, just to be clear, library absolutely supports and endorses free content. So if you want to publish stuff for free, you can do that. You don't have to use the network for money. Like an example would be, I mean, we can get into this later, but we we mirrored 20,000 Berkeley lectures that were about to disappear off the internet.
That was really cool. That's cool.
And all that stuff's available for free. So we may well talk about that a little bit later, but because you asked how the monetization works.
Yes.
Basically, you pick a price. That price can be free. That price can be $5. Like we have a Hollywood studio that's our partner. They charge $5 for their videos. So that's right. You can, by the way, legally purchase Hollywood films via a completely decentralized network via library if you're interested in doing that.
And you can do that right now?
Do that right now. Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's gated right now, so we're kind of only letting people in to try it for the first time. Anyone who is on that list is going to get in April. We're letting everyone in April,
okay.
And developers can get in now. So anyone who has a GitHub account can get in now.
It's a good workaround. I like it.
Yeah, that was our developer filter. How do we tell if someone's a developer? We'll just say.
Do they have a GitHub account? Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. You know, when you publish a video on YouTube, you know, a lot of people think that when they're watching a video on YouTube that's free. I like to say it's only free if your time is worthless. That is right. Yeah. A video.
Yeah.
Right. You make you know, probably anywhere from, I'm guessing you make anywhere from 1/10 of a penny to like a 1/5 of a penny
it's
per
small.
view.
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
It's normally given in CPM, right? Yeah. So it's sort of like 1,000 to 5,000 maybe CPM. So that's a price, right? When I access your video on YouTube, paying because you're getting paid. so someone's spending that money.
Someone's spending the money.
Advertisers.
Yeah.
Right. And the answer is advertisers are. But that effectively means, and it's kind of silly when you start thinking about this, where you start going, well, why do I spend 30 seconds of my time to watch an advertisement? I made 1/10 of a penny for 30 seconds of my time. That's kind of a terrible deal. I think
it is not a great deal. Yeah.
My time is more valuable than that. So what library is doing is making costs explicit. So if you want to charge 1/10 of a cent for a video, you can charge 1/10 of a cent. Now, we don't have advertising support currently, but we're fine with advertising. But advertising is saying a video costs 1/10 of a cent. If an advertiser is willing to subsidize that and you want to watch an ad, then you can watch it for free. But it's not advertising first. It's cost first. It's set the price, and then if an advertiser is willing to handle it, they'll do it, and you can skip it if you want to pay.
No, I kind of like the notion of like micro transactions for watching videos is somewhat fascinating to me. So, I'm actually not really opposed to the idea. I think a lot of people subscribe to like the YouTube Red service or whatnot in order to remove as many ads as possible, right? And that becomes worth it to a lot of people, and myself included. Now, if I'm going to, you know, hop on library and I'm browsing around for videos and I come across one that is 1/10 of a cent, what's the process like for me as a viewer to do that? Do I purchase like a set stack of credits or something within the system that like get micro deducted over time? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now the answer is basically we'll give them to you. You can acquire them through Yeah, you can go on and buy them from other services. So you can go on to various services like there's Poloniex and Bittrex and Shapeshift and all these various services that will let you buy them. It's actually, according to our lawyers, likely illegal to sell unbound credits directly to consumers. Likely a financial, it's unclear. That's the fun of being an entrepreneur and running into regulation. So right now we're choosing to just, because we are a startup that doesn't want to take that on, we're just basically giving them out, and we plan to give them out for some initial time period.
Okay.
You can also earn them for running the client, right? So if you're making your disk space available, if you're making your bandwidth available, you also earn them. You can get them in. If you're not used to using Bitcoin, it's not the easiest thing, and this is something that we will address in future releases.
Interesting. So, okay. So then that makes it very clear how to use those sorts of, like, what do you call them? Do you call them credits?
Credits or coins is fine too, but credits is what the word we use.
Credits. All right. I want to use the right terminology for you guys. I'm very bad with words, so I might as well learn your words.
Yeah, well, most places use coin, right? Bitcoin, a lot of them coins. We choose to use the word credits because we think that, I don't know.
Honestly, I kind of like credits and coins because they both make me think of old arcades. You know, it makes me think of 1980s arcades, which makes me immediately fond of it. I don't like other sorts of words. The credits and coins both work. So okay, so a bunch of people come in to watch my My Little Pony fan made video, right? They pay so many credits per watch. They watch those. It roughly equals, say, 1/10 of a penny, right? After a bajillion of them watch it, I've got this small pile of credits. What do I then do with those credits as a creator? Can I cash them in? Can I transfer them somehow? How does that work?
Yeah, same kind of thing. So it works a lot like Bitcoin. So I mean, these credits actually are they're publicly traded right now. In fact, you could go and buy them. So they are on they're on the various exchanges for these kinds of things.
Interesting.
That is not. And so this is not, in my opinion, this is not a very user friendly experience.
Sure.
And by the way, like, so we've been keeping it on the open software and technical side, and that makes sense. That's the kind of show on. That's what I'm interested in. I'm a Linux user myself, and I'm a programmer by education and by trade was for a long time. Haven't written too much of library, some, but not much. Ultimately though, we want to make something that's very user friendly for everybody. I want something that my mom can use, and my mom does use YouTube, by the way. And so the answer there is, like, a lot of this stuff needs to end up becoming more consumer friendly. This release, in fact, we don't even have a mandate from our investors actually to make something super consumer friendly in this release. It's basically get the technology working. So these early adopters we're basically expecting to tolerate a little bit more than a less sophisticated user would.
I totally get that. So if you're a creator, so if I'm a creator and I put my stuff out there and I charge 1/10 of a penny or whatever would be a version of that in credits language, and I amass my little pile of it and I want to basically cash that out to Bitcoins or PayPal or whatever, I do that on one of the exchanges. Then I'd then go to the various exchanges and then see what people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah, and so the credits are yours. They have all the nice properties of Bitcoin, where it's like it's yours, it's only yours, it's cash-like, they can't be reversed. They really are yours.
Kind of like with Bitcoin, are the credits stored solely on your server, or are the credits also decentralized, more Bitcoiny?
But yeah, the credits are also decentralized. So when you're assuming you set up that publish and did it all on your computer, the credits are effectively on that computer, right? Technically speaking, the account is written to the blockchain. What's on your computer,
right. But for my purposes, they're on the computer, and I better not lose the file. It's kind of like Bitcoin.
Speaking, they're not on your computer.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, well, this is fairly interesting. So okay, and you guys go fully public to everyone on the kind of the wait list, the invitation list, sometime in April, right?
That's exactly right. So anyone who wants to get in before everyone else needs to be on that list by next month. Okay. And we actually have I think over 200,000. I'd have to check the exact number, but I think we're over 200,000 people now on that list.
Seriously? Yeah. That's not too shabby. I mean, really, that's not bad at all. This is interesting. With what you've got right now, how many people are using, like, internally right now? Because I recognize it's basically like a private beta is what you guys have got going right now.
If I were to look right now, I'm guessing there would be on the order of 150 connected nodes.
Okay. Okay. 150 connected nodes. Now, is that people, you know, sharing content, or is that 150 total people connecting and testing it out and using it for consuming it as well?
Yeah, that's the people who are like actively connected. You know, the number of content accesses. Well, the last couple of weeks as we've been ramping it up, you know, we've been seeing, you know, I think that we had maybe like 400 or 500 purchases the other day as part of people going through it. It's only been GitHub people that we've been letting in, so it's a it's a much smaller audience.
This is interesting. This is really an interesting approach to me. So okay, so in order to access that, clearly you need an application, because it's a little more complicated than, you know, just like going to a website, right? So, what sort of applications do you guys have right now?
Yeah, we basically released 2 pieces of software. We actually released more than that in the sense of the number of repos we maintain, but there's 2 important pieces. There's the daemon. Well, there's really 3 important pieces. I'm gonna go back to 3.
Take a step back. As many as you need. Yeah. It can be actually, 20. There's 27 pieces 24. Of software. Yeah.
24, and we're gonna spend a minute on all of them right now.
Fantastic.
There's 3. There's a blockchain. Most people don't need to run the blockchain, but if you're into Bitcoin and so on, you can go and get the blockchain. You can run that. You can mine it. You can use the blockchain API. Okay. Most people don't need that. And even if you want to do stuff on top of it, you probably don't need that. The next layer up is kind of the daemon. This is what provides what we actually call the library API. This is what does all of the data exchanges. Okay. This is like a command line interface to all of the set of, you know, library basically does like 45 things. It's not that long of a list. This is all that it does, is these 45 things. It's a lot, but it's not an insane number. Yeah. And so the daemon implements all of that. We provide binaries for that if you want to run it directly. So if you wanted to build your own, you know, if you wanted to build, Brian, the My Little Pony platform that only shows My Little Pony videos, you would use that daemon, and then you could write a little layer on top of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. So for the consumer side of things, so if I want to connect to it, what platforms do you have the application available for at this point?
All Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. We have binaries for all of them, and so that's the 3rd level up, which is the what we call the library. Do we just call it the library app right now? And so that actually, if you're using it on your home computer, that bundles the daemon, and so it's running the daemon in the background. And then the front end is just a little JavaScript and CSS, and it's just speaking to that data.
This makes total sense to me. How about for the mobile space? You guys breaking into that as well, I assume? It makes it a little more challenging for this sort of thing. I mean, it's not just a quick HTTP stream of a video and you're done.
Right. So probably end of this year. What we're actually probably going to tackle even before mobile, which effectively opens us up to mobile, is web-based usage.
Oh, okay. So you can actually point people with just a simple web link and go to this web page, and you're good to go.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. See, that does make sense. I'm trying to think through in my head. So before the web-based version of it comes to, how do you link people to your video, or can you do that directly?
You can, and that's one of the really cool parts about our system, is that you can end up getting these really nice plain English URLs. So that's part of why we called it LBRY, is it's a protocol, and we want, you know, URLs are written with a scheme, right? Do you have scheme?
Sure, yeah.
So library URLs are, you know, LBRY : / and, you know, this could be you know, the Lunduke Hour, right? That could be your URL. Other people can click that. Now the link is only going to work if you have library installed.
Right. But as long as you have library installed, it's, you know, you have a MIME type handler or whatever on your system for that. Boom, pops open the URL and in your application, you're good to go. So if I provide, let's say, a Lunduke Hour sort of thing, would that be a link to a direct singular piece of content, like a singular video, or could that also be for an ongoing playlist of content that I can add to over time, sort of like a subscription?
So that's both. Right now we're supporting 2 types. There's a type that starts, it's basically anything with an @ symbol. This is actually one of the features that is literally just being finished like right now. So we can, like literally 2 people are working on that as we're having this conversation.
Fantastic. Tell them to work harder.
Yeah. Hey, Jack. No, not actually.
Yeah.
Frequently he is sitting right next to me in this room, but he's not here today.
Okay. It's all good.
you can have a URL for your channel. So you can have entry points basically for an identity, a publisher identity, which we'll call channels because that's what they're called. And then you can have an entry for a specific piece of content.
Okay,
those are
that makes sense. That makes total sense. And when you're on the channel one, you can do, I'm assuming, similar things like what you can do on YouTube, where you can subscribe to it so you get notified when new things get added to it.
Yeah. I mean, so some of this stuff is still a work in progress.
Totally.
But
by the way, totally get that. Most of my life is a work in progress, so I'm on board with that. Okay, this is interesting. So, looking beyond the content sharing, and this content can be anything, right? Like I kind of was looking through it, and at least from the protocol standpoint, it's just a piece of content. So it could be like a PDF document, or it could be a video, right?
Yep. I mean, so that's absolutely correct. In fact, in our initial iteration of presenting library, in fact, we emphasized that aspect more. I found that it was actually easier to get people thinking about it if they're like decentralized videos than if they're thinking decentralized anything.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
But yeah, and it has been designed. It was certainly designed with videos in mind, in the sense of like you can start a stream that's not even finished and publish it and start having someone act. So you can live stream over it, which again is not something you could do over BitTorrent.
Sure.
What was I answering? I totally lost it. I do that
all the time. You're good. Okay. So back up a second. So realistically, what you kind of have in a way is a completely decentralized cryptocurrency store for any sort of content.
That's right.
From my standpoint. So realistically, so like for me, so I usually do videos, I do some audio version of the videos, and then I have ebooks. And so I've got my 3 various things. Could I, in theory, have all of those types of content on a singular channel? Is that a doable thing?
That is 100% doable. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. So this is very fascinating to me. I mean, I like where you're going with this. Clearly, the big hiccup is going to be getting enough people on it to make enough people want to use it, right? I mean, that's the hiccup for me.
Classic two-sided marketplace is what it would be, is the business jargony term for it. Yeah. So, but the nice thing, so there's one, we've already seen that there's tremendous interest in this.
Without a doubt.
We were at the top of we're at the top of Reddit. We talk to YouTubers. We talk to even the bigger producers are like, they feel like they're getting screwed by the cable companies, by Apple, by Amazon. And you know what? They are.
They totally are.
It's crazy. Think about it. I was actually talking to my friend the other day, and I was surprised I hadn't thought about this since I've been running this company for as long as I have. But I was just talking about the other day, like, well, what does eBay actually take? Right? eBay takes, I think, like 5 to 10% when you sell
something like that. Yeah.
How is it that providing all of that infrastructure, like physical goods and all these things that can go wrong, and lower margin than distributing a stream of bits? How is it that they're getting 30, 40, 50% margins distributing a stream of bits?
It's like ridiculous.
Not that like YouTube is very technologically sophisticated.
I don't want to knock YouTube. I mean, it does a lot of things right and it does plenty of things wrong. But yes, absolutely. So okay, all right, multiple things. Just so you know where the Lunduke brain is at right now. Technologically, you sold me a long time ago. Like yes, this is clearly the way things should be going. So then in my mind, it's okay, how do I get from point A to point B where I can get a large enough amount of my audience using library in order to be able to dedicate the time to it. You know what I mean? To get in there, to get the content in there, to make it really worthwhile to me. So when I'm looking at this is this. What is the point? So April, it opens up to people on the waiting list, and we got a couple 100,000 people, and that's a big one. When do you guys have a plan in place for opening it up to the public in general, or is it kind of a when it's ready and when that initial invite group says it's ready sort of a thing?
Yeah, it's gonna be based off of how that's going, whether we encounter are there more scaling issues and stuff that we haven't discovered yet. I mean, there's just I've done enough product launches before to know there.
Yeah.
No substitute. I mean, things have been going pretty well. And so it's possible that we'll get through it very fast. It's possible that we'll need to continue to draw that process out and like, you know, allow those people to then invite their friends and stuff like that before we go completely wide open. But in terms of the traction problems, which I think are very big, you know, there's a lot that we can do. One, there's a lot of people out there who do care, right? Who want a freer experience. And especially if we can provide that experience in a way that doesn't require a big leap. Like that's actually what we're doing right now with the YouTubers is we just say, we'll keep publishing on YouTube. We'll just, you know, we'll give you a process where you don't have to do anything extra and you're publishing to both.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm on board with that.
Exactly. And then so we, you know, and it's, you start getting that snowball or that flywheel going where you just keep pushing on both sides. And yeah, you do have to start with people who really get it or who care a lot or are passionate for other reasons. But then as you get more and more, it starts going more and more. And you find stuff, you also look for stuff that only you can do. Like that, you know, that Berkeley story was a great example of how like, look, YouTube was saying no to this stuff. And well, it wasn't really YouTube, but
yes.
You know,
you'll take it. So this actually calls into a question. There are so many YouTubers that have a difficult time with the various terms of service relating to YouTube. And the most classic example are people who do like gameplay videos, right? Who film themselves playing video games and they have a difficult time getting it up and keeping it posted because from YouTube's standpoint, it's of dubious legality because maybe there's a company that might have a copyright claim maybe on like a music from a video or something like that, so it can't be played. How does that work? So if someone wanted to come over and publish on Library, I assume since it's so decentralized, where does the onus of ensuring the legality of the content fall? Is it on the content distributor, or does it, like YouTube, fall a little bit more heavily towards the service provider, the library people itself? How do you view it? Oh, did I lose you momentarily? There you go. Coming back.
Yeah. So first, I can tell you that these are expensive questions to answer because I pay to have people answer them. And the answer is, even when you pay people a lot of money to answer them, they still come back and tell you, oh, well, this is what we think. So this is definitely something that is, one, I will just generally go on a soapbox here and say that, like, it's a tremendous shame that we don't have, in terms of encouraging entrepreneurship and the creation of new products, it's like, it's crazy that there's no affirmative process you can go through. Like I couldn't even there's no amount of money where I can go, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Can you tell me? The answer is spend all this money, all these people's time building it, and then you'll find out 5 years later, which is like just nuts. Right. It's just absolutely nuts.
You know, when you get a DMCA takedown notice, then you know.
Yeah. So, but I've spent a lot of time learning about this, consulting with lawyers. We have a legal advisor. We have a whole legal team and all that stuff. And so the answer is basically library is a technology similar to the way that HTTP or BitTorrent are technologies. Okay. So at that level, in terms of how the protocol specification itself works, there's no legal requirement to provide at that level.
Okay.
When we're providing services on top of it, we absolutely have legal obligations, and we'll be meeting those obligations. I don't want illegal content to be accessed.
No, heavens no.
So our application, all the tools that we release will basically follow a blacklist. We as a company will receive DMCAs and other takedown notifications, and we'll maintain. We basically are still maintaining that that catalog, but that is not a protocol level filtration. That is an application level filtration.
That's the for-profit arm of the company where you provide the service. Right. Okay.
And that's no different than basically other things work where, you know, YouTube is filtering at the YouTube level, but there's no HTTP level filtration. And thank God there isn't, right? Like I don't think that would be healthy for the internet.
It'd be less than ideal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. That does make sense. It makes a certain amount of sense. I'm trying to like wrap my head around it. I'm trying to think on the spur of the moment because I'm fully on board with this. This is something I would like to do at the very least with some of my videos and just see what the experience is like, see how people like it, help with its growth, and all these things seem important. If you right now were just looking to get started in this, what is the right path? What would you do? What are the steps you would take to publish your first bit of content to library?
To publish your first bit of content. Well, it would depend on
assuming I have a GitHub account. So the step one, have a GitHub account. Step two, how do I get a video of my cat up on Library?
Well, that's funny because the quick start guide actually literally recommends that you upload a cat picture.
This tells you how little research I've done.
So yeah, go to so the number one thing if you're a developer or if you have a GitHub account, ry.io/quickstart is a great entry page. You'll actually earn some magic internet money. You get like $10 for going through this guide. And it's yours. Yeah, it's yours at the end. You can then learn. If you've never learned about Bitcoin before, it's a fun introduction because you get these coins that you can spend and all this stuff.
That's fantastic. And even if I never use them again, I can put them in the pile right next to my Doji coins and my other things. So I'm good to go. Right. I like to collect them all.
Yeah. And by the way, we will. There's a time where we'll probably support US dollars as well, but this is how we're starting. So that's one way. That guide will actually also tell you how to get the app. If you're a clever person, you can get into the app right now. There's just some very known issues and such with it that we're not shouting about it.
Okay.
But if you're clever and if you know what, for example, if I say the word GitHub release page and you're capable of understanding what that means, you can find a binary. We're not that secretive about it. Okay. Your audience is like this already. Essentially, if you're listening to this show, you're probably the type of person
they're gonna figure it out. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people going through your GitHub page right now. Yeah.
So and also, but if you're not that, the number one other thing you can do is go to our website, enter your email address. That also earns you some credits, and we'll send you a message as soon as it's live, which will be April, and then that will be the nice consumer, entry point with a nice redone first run process and so on. So,
how many people are working on this right now? I mean, besides you and I believe it was Jack or Jake that you were yelling at off screen earlier. Besides the two of you, how many people are working actively on Library?
There's 7 people working actively on Library.
Nice.
Basically, a little over 6 full-time equivalent. And depending on how you want to count me, I do a mix of everything. There's four. There's basically 4 full-time technical staff.
Okay, got it. This is really fascinating. So, I mean, I've been looking at a number of decentralized things. There's on the instant messaging side of things. There's like Matrix and Wire, or not Wire, Riot, Matrix and Riot, and there's a lot of really exciting decentralized things happening out there, and they're all right on the cusp. They're all just like clearly those of us in this part of the world know that this is a good idea. It's just a matter of getting it just a bit further down the field so that we can all jump on board and use it as like our primary means for messaging or for content discovery or what have you. And it's just so close. From your standpoint, from a man who is clearly monetarily invested in seeing this succeed, what has to happen in order to get it past that line, to get it past that? It doesn't even have to be like a massive worldwide phenomenon, just to be successful enough where all the nerds and all of us can just be like, yeah, this is where we live. This is our internet now.
Well, I mean, so even though we're doing this for quote nerds, I think a lot of the reason that some of this stuff doesn't get more popular is it's not done well enough. It's not user friendly enough. I haven't watched one of your Linux Sucks episodes, but I'm guessing I could guess what some of the things you're talking about. It's just like sometimes I feel like the open source community walks around ideologically shooting themselves in the feet. Like I don't know. That's a good way for it.
Yeah.
Or maybe or they're just like, it's just like, just make it work. Just make it friendly. Like instead there's like, kind of like esoteric technical debates take the front stage. And, I care about that stuff and I want it to be correct, but we're not going to get bogged down in it. We're going to focus on making something that works for the end user. And I think that is sometimes where these projects die because people work on them who are very, very interested in the technology. They're not as focused on the business side and on the user experience side. And I think that can be sometimes what prevents that leap into the mainstream.
But what do we do? What? So is the goal just simply that if the installed application for the consumer side for Library is just polished and nice and slick, is that enough? I mean,
no.
What do we got to do here? Because I'm on board. Like when we talk to folks over at the Creative Commons Foundation, or so many content creators that are behind things like Creative Commons, or are supporters of Tor, or supporters of, you know, Matrix and decentralized messaging, we're all on board. We're all together, and we're all like, yeah, we should totally use that. Excuse me while I post another video to YouTube and then hop on Hangouts. Like, this is, you see what I'm saying? Like, we know we have to do it. Like, we know that eventually, if we don't do it, we're really screwed. So, so how do we get there? What do I need to do? If you're telling Brian Lunduke what to do, what do I need to do? Well,
I mean, Brian, I already think one of the biggest things you can do is stuff like this, is spread the word and get people using it. I mean, I think the other thing you can do is some people have to go first. Some people have to make that commitment. And so that's also, that can partially be reduced in difficulty by making ways to handle both in parallel, which I think is one important thing that we can do and that other people can do when they're looking at these. So in other words, like how can but really, I mean, yeah, it's people have to go first. People have to go first. People have to go first, and we have to make things that are good enough. Like, I mean, we actually had someone. So look, we use I like open source. I run Linux. We use Slack for library, right, for our chat client.
Sure.
And someone came in, you know, because we have about 3,000 people in our Slack channel. You can come on and join us and chat with us. You can chat with me. Slack.library.io if you want to join. But it's like Matrix, like, I can't switch to Matrix. Like, I've got people have nice apps on their phones, and they get push notifications from me, and like everything just works.
I know.
And so, but to me, that doesn't mean like, but then it's like, so then let's make better software. Like, let's make stuff that works. Like, that's, to me, is part of it. It's part of it's that the tools aren't good enough to get, that is part of it. I mean, and then the other part of it is, when the tools are good enough, like committing and starting to bring people over and evangelizing in that side. But there's work to be done on both sides.
That makes sense. And I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, I'm looking at my own usage. I'm not using Matrix or Riot for my instant messaging. I could be. Like, I just am not. And I like what they've done, and I like the technology, and I like the people, and I like the goals. But for some reason, I'm not using it. I'm using Wire right now, which is also good, but is centralized. It's a siloed service, just like anything else. It's very open, but it's still siloed. And so I'm just simply not. And that concerns me. Like, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, YouTube is great. YouTube's been good for me. Like, I've been able to reach a large audience. The monetization side of YouTube, it really hasn't worked all that great. Like, their ads are fine and all that, but I'm not really an ads guy. Like, I'm cool with like sponsorship and whatnot, but advertisements and Google AdSense, that gets a little annoying. So I like the design you've got going on. I like everything you've said. I just need to dive in and do it. What I hear you saying is Brian Lunduke really needs to get, at the very least, his regular videos going on library as soon as you guys are opening this up to people.
I mean, yeah, are you ready? We're ready to. Ready to. All right.
What the hell? There you go. What the hell? Right? What the hell? Oh, when I do the videos, what formats do you guys use? How does that work?
Right now we're basically offering that we'll sync your YouTube publishes. So we'll just take the stuff that you put on YouTube. We'll let you go through an auth process where you prove that it's your YouTube account, and we'll sync your YouTube content.
Are you joking with me? I can just do it like that?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, yeah.
No, I'm not joking.
I have to do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Of course. Yes. Okay. So let's just do it. You know what? Actually sounds like kind of an interesting idea, because what you guys are doing is awesome. Just flat out awesome. Let's do it. Let's do that. I'll talk about it on the show here. I'll remind people about it when we, as we go forward, so that they can sign up for the thing. They can go to make sure that their GitHub accounts are current, get set up with you guys. And then maybe after you've opened it up to the broader audience for, say, 30 days or something like that, let's get you back on and let's talk about how it's gone. Let's see, based on the number of people we're sending over, what sort of views we're getting, how it's working, what people's experience is like, and let's just take another look at it.
I'm in. Let's do it, Brian.
Let's totally do it.
I just sent you the link.
Oh,
I guess
friggin' awesome. Awesome.
We have a landing page for it. It's at /YouTube. I'm actually not. I'm not a big fan of that page.
Okay. Okay. Fair.
We've kind of done it in a hurry, but the link is there.
Okay.
We actually mainly just use the driving link on that page to recruit other people. But yes, if you're a YouTuber, you can go to /YouTube on our website, and you can give that authorization right now.
That is rad. Yeah. How do we do? Here's another question for you. So I'm not a huge ad of like the pre-roll AdSense, Google AdWords-y advertisements on the videos, but I do like, you know, sponsorships, right? I like for a company to be able to come in and say, you know, this episode sponsored by Jimmy Dean's Sausage. You know, I want to, that's always nice, right? And in order to do that, you have to be able to provide decent stats and metrics. How is that possible within your network? As a content creator, what sort of statistics can I get at?
Not enough.
Can I get views? Can I see how many people grabbed them?
If you can't tell, we do always bring honesty around here.
I'm liking this. Yeah.
Yeah. So the answer is right now, you can we can give you a view count. We can actually only give you a view count for paid content right now. That's unfortunately all we have. So if your content
so content where there is an actual transaction happening, that's logged, so you can provide that. But if it's a free content, we have no idea really.
Yeah. Actually, right now, this is something we're going to fix. We're going to provide it in some form, but actually, right now, you cannot get analytics on your free content. Which is a little embarrassing, but no.
No, I get it. I get it. So, okay, but that is something that you're planning to remedy going forward. Now, see, I'm torn on this. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Part of me sees a decentralized content platform like this. I don't want it tracking me, son. I don't want all those details being logged somewhere. But on the other side, I know that we have to have some of it in order to make it a decent platform for creators. So I'm really torn. Yeah,
it's fine. Library is a kind of project where, like, on a semi-regular basis, I realize that I have two irreconcilable beliefs.
Yeah.
And it makes me acknowledge that, like, I can't actually have it both ways. That's a great example of one, because I'm of both minds myself. The answer is going to be, like, so at a protocol level, we can't force tracking. So, like, if someone really wants to access free content anonymously, like, that's doable. And in fact, we're not even trying to discourage that.
That's fine. That's okay.
I think, you know, and so to that extent, if that's what you're into and you want to go ahead, you can do it, you know, access library via Tor or other ways or whatever.
Sure.
VPN. But, you know, I think for normal consumers and for normal users who don't mind that, who don't mind that artist knowing that view happened or whatever, you know, I think that we can have the client have some default behaviors, you know, where it tracks some of those things.
Maybe like voluntary tracking information.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know, really, you don't have to get fine tuned. I don't need to know Jeremy Kauffman's birthday when he watches my video, but knowing that an anonymous man aged, you know, 36 or whatever has watched your video, then that's valuable for everyone else. Yeah.
That's right. I send my crash reports to my various companies. I check the box. I say you can have it. You know.
Yes, I opted in. Opting in is cool. Now, you mentioned Tor. So like right now we're recording this video because we're doing like video chat and everything else. I'm not running through Tor because that's just a horrible experience. But most of my life, like on my personal laptop, I connect everything through Tor. Now, what is the experience like if I'm streaming video through Tor? Are there any potential issues that you know of?
I've never actually done it.
Yeah.
I said just use Tor like it's possible. I mean, it
should be possible. The only thing that's going to change is every now and then it'll change the exit node. So it'll look like, oh, I'm in Zimbabwe. Nope, I'm in France. Nope, I'm in Oregon. And it just keeps hopping around. That's really the only change. So like some websites, if you go to Amazon.com right now, strictly via Tor, it loses its mind because it uses its JavaScript. It's like, oh, yep, I see you. You're in Canada. Here, let me redirect you to .ca. Like, no. I'm going to log in. I'm really in the United States right now. No, you're not. You're in England. And it just kind of hops around and it screws everything all up. So I suppose as long as you're not doing anything where you're detecting the location based on the exit IP address, you're probably fine. But it's worth checking.
Actually, no, I was being silly, you know, because saying that because we do some stuff over UDP, and UDP does not write Tor is TCP only.
So at least for the moment, connecting via Tor is would be probably a no-go, at least for now.
I actually think it probably wouldn't work. You can try it and tell me, but
I will.
I suspect it wouldn't work. Actually, I wasn't thinking about that.
Well, that's quite all right. I mean, the fact that it's already decentralized to a great degree helps tremendously. Just in that same basic idea. So, very, very cool. This is absolutely fascinating to me. Jeremy, before I send you on your way to finish this up so you can get this out in April for me and a whole bunch of other people to try, what do people need to know? What have we not talked about that needs to be out there? What do people need to know, my friend?
I mean, obviously what everyone needs to know is that they really need to put their email address into our website so they can find out when launches. I don't know what should everyone be doing right now. What are people not aware of on the internet?
Did we cover it? We got the basics.
I think after this episode, there's nothing else to learn.
Fantastic. This is
they'll
it.
Be perfectly informed.
Just the definitive guide. Awesome, awesome, man.
You have a lot of Linux users. If someone could fix this issue where Linux is incompatible with certain chipsets on Intel, it drives my computer nuts, and I would really appreciate it if someone could fix this.
All right,
that's what
whoever does that sort of work, get a hold of Jeremy. He needs help.
One of you people out there fix the C-State Linux bug that's been on this Intel chipset for like a year. Please fix it.
I'll send my Linux Lunduke minions over to help out. This is truly great. I'm really glad we had you on. All right. I'll follow up with you after this, because let's get some of my content out there. Once I've got the content up, and once it starts opening up to people, I'll have some of my people go over there, sign up, and then when it opens up sometime in April, I'll kind of give people a nudge to go check it out, give some feedback, see how well it works, play around with it a little bit. We'll set everything up to be, I don't know, paid content, but the cheapest credit content humanly possible.
Smallest micro unit.
The smallest micro unit, just to let people try it. And
that's right.
That sounds like a great idea to me. Let me ask you this. One final question. Who's your biggest competitor? Going forward, and you can't say YouTube, but not YouTube. Putting YouTube off to the side. But is there someone else out there in this space that you feel is a potential competition to you, whether it's distributed or not?
Yeah, so there's a couple of other companies that are trying to tackle this decentralized content. I feel like none of them are hitting it quite right. So some of the most interesting ones, like I find IPFS very interesting, but they're not really, I don't think they're not providing a proper catalog, and I don't think they've done the right incentives, but otherwise it's a very interesting technology.
Sure.
There are other ones that are doing it, but they're doing it with private blockchains, and I think that's a big mistake. I think you really need to have a public blockchain to be able to trust it.
Yes,
then there's some other ones that have that have drummed up some good hype, but they've released like literally nothing, which are I could name them, but there's nothing out there to look at besides a nice looking website.
Yeah, see, I don't care about a nice looking website. I care. What draw me to you guys was I could see you doing things. That's why I'm on board. Yeah, let's give this a whirl. All right, Jeremy, thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone go to LBRY Ulbury Library, however you want to say it, .io. Sign up, you get free library credits. That's cool. Even if you don't want to use it for anything else, now you got free credits. And then we'll get some of the Lunduke content up there, and then we'll just see how it goes. We'll just give it a whirl. Let's kick the tires.
Please do. That's actually the most useful thing. Getting this feedback. You know, it's a great product is made through the sheer hate of early users, and that's through that crucible becomes the diamond we ultimately release.
Well, I look forward to helping provide you with as much hate as humanly possible. Thank you, Jeremy. And everyone, come back next week. No, not next week. Tomorrow. It's only Tuesday. It's not the end of the week for me. I have to do another show tomorrow. So come back tomorrow because more show. Later, everybody.